When we left Paris to Bordeaux, I guess my daughter was about 8. And what she tells me now is like she didn't even really understand what we meant when we said we were moving. She was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know what it meant. Like, we're like, you're moving. You're like, okay. But then, like, she's like, oh, that's what it means. Like, you live in a different place altogether. So I feel like just kind of before that, they don't really even understand, you know? And then
Yeah. Do
after
they
that, it just
adapt really
every
well?
year after that, it gets harder. What? In
Do they
Bordeaux,
adapt
yeah,
really well, or is it?
yeah, they adapted really well. But again, it was the same country. So, and if you're not leaving the States, you know, it's kind of like not that much is going to be different. I mean, well, that's not
Yeah.
true. Technically, a lot could be quite different.
Yeah. No, it's always
Hey,
always
Bear.
a
Hey,
plus in my
White
mind.
Sean. Say
Hey,
that again.
good morning, guys.
Good morning, Sean. Yeah, it says it's just always something on my mind. I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. Yeah, cool.
hey, Bear. Oh, we lost him. So is NT done? Like in like immediately? Is it gonna be phasing out?
I did think there would be some time between when he sort of is full time not here. Oh, he says he just posted saying he's running a few minutes behind. So it looks like he should join this call too. Hey,
Hi,
speak
so
of I'm not sure what that's a
the
picture of NT. Is it a what is the
what
picture? What is your picture of?
that's a hedgehog.
Speak of the hedgehog.
Sorry for being late today. Wasn't home this morning and got a bit caught up. But let me and thanks Nate for helping me with the Figma board. Um, I just shared the link here in the voice chat, and so well, let me share screen. We can start right away. Um, hmm, okay. First things first. As always, we're going to start with the praise section, praise part. Um, and so that's 10 minutes, and I'm starting the timer now. Hey Mel, how's it going? Just in case, I have just dropped you a few messages here on the chat. Pretty much just saying that we're now in a retrospective, starting with some praise in the praise chat. Pretty much just saying what we are grateful for for other contributors or other things in the sphere, you'd say. And yeah, you're more than welcome to stay, look around and comment on anything, give feedback or whatever. I think. Okay, I just saw. I mean, let's wait. I don't know, 30 seconds each to see if there's any more praises. I think we'll slow down, and if not, we'll move on to the next part of the ritual. Well, just 10 seconds left. I'll stop the timer. Well, just let it stop itself. Cool. So that was that. Now we're going to move over the retrospective itself. Let me see if let me know if everyone is here. If not, if we need a second to for others to join. Um, in the meantime, so pretty much as always, first question: what's going on well? What should we continue? We have 10 minutes of discussion and around 10 minutes to field the question and around 5 to discuss. And I'll start the timer now as well. Doesn't seem like we're writing anything more. Let's see. Oh yeah, well, Tom's writing. Okay.
That's okay. It was just one last thing.
Oh, cool. Well, all right then. We'll stop the timer now, and we can have 5 minutes of discussion. Maybe you want to start yourself, Tom? I'll start the timer just now. And let me stop the music as well.
Yeah, I didn't really have a chance to read everyone else's, but I mean, overall, there's the few things is like the expanding the reach of TCAN, inviting others to advise and participate. It's just really feels really, really, really right. And I think the way that Bear handled it with the SWAT team was excellent, and the people that we were invited were excellent. And I think we can see a lot more of that. Actually, it seems to really work. Um, and then Guardians, I mean, some of these big votes, honestly, if Bear didn't push people over the weekend, I think we would have not reached quorum again. So huge kudos to Bear for doing that. Kind of hidden work that nobody really sees. And then the TCAN, the migration seems to be going okay. You know, I still feel really a little anxious about it just because it's a big thing and there's still some large things that need to be done, like, to the communication to token holders. I mean, the good news is the communication is to token holders is kind of like, hey, you have nothing to do. It's just going to be on Optimism. And here's the Optimism contract. If you want to import Optimism into your wallet, here's how to do it. But so that's the good news. There's not major news to share with token holders. But the bad news is like that just hasn't been drafted yet. So that's on my plate. So that's, and there's all these little things. I'm really excited about the dress rehearsal on Wednesday. It's really, to go through and do exactly what we would do for the migration, including the Guardians, moving funds from multi-sig to multi-sig to multi-sig, and then into any blocker. I don't have any more time. So if we run into any blockers that can cause a delay on the day of the migration, then we're just going to stop. We're going to do it in January. But if it goes really smoothly, then on the Thursday, we're going to actually do the binding vote to migrate to Optimism, which means that it will execute moving funds out of the reserve pool, out of the common pool into the multi-sig, and that's kind of a big deal. So Wednesday is like a big day for us, and that's exciting. So I think things are going really well. And do you want me to pass, or?
We can
I don't know how
open
we
it up.
want to use our time. Yeah.
Yeah. we can open it up just to see if anyone else has
Yeah, I can go real quick. I just wanted to say that I think the TCAN meetings was amazing. Like I really did, I wasn't sure how we were going to approach TCAN, and the fact that it was open to a bunch of diverse opinions and people that I haven't traditionally seen in the day to day, having different external viewpoints, and making sure that we're incorporating that within our decision making, and just providing general direction for the coordination team as we continue to move forward. I thought was really awesome, and I just want to take this moment to say, Inti, thank you for everything, man. The grants program, it would not be what it is without you and the work that you put into it, and I can't thank you enough for that, because it turned out amazing, and I think we're going to continue to build onto that. So mad praise for you and everything you're doing, and just good luck with everything moving forward. And then the last thing I want to say is that um, there is a lot of clarity. I think this whoever wrote that, it feels good to have a certain clarity around the consistency around the priorities we should take in the coming year. I agree with this 100%. I think in the past couple of weeks, we've really come together in terms of having that direction. I think TCAN meetings, the token utility, understanding what's going to happen with the new reserve currency and the bonding curve. There's a lot of things to build on now that we all kind of have this. It feels like we're all in alignment, which is really great. So I just want to throw that out there, and then I will end it and pass it to whoever else wants to say anything.
I'll just say quickly.
Thanks. Well, we have 30 seconds left. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I just say, looking at this board, there's a lot to celebrate. There's been a lot of big moves. So like a lot of votes passed. The vote to migrate to optimism passed. Tech Guardians. Even though we had to redo the vote, I mean, it was cool. Like that's how it should be, right? Sometimes you're gonna have to redo a vote. It's not like everything you want to get passed is just gonna pass. That wouldn't be governance. And yeah, just reflecting on this board, there's a lot to celebrate recently with the TEC. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are in a very good place right now. So I'm really excited. Hey Gideon. Cool. Yeah. Was someone going to say something? I think I heard someone in mute.
No, sorry, that was just me saying hi and sorry to be late today.
Oh, no worries. Okay, cool. We may be just 5-10 minutes over the hour today. I hope that's not an issue. And I'll start the timer for the second question now. Pretty much about what should we stop doing or what needs to improve. This one. And if not, we can move on to. Take just 1 minute for to read everything. Put 1 minute here. Okay, let's start with the discussion. Maybe first there.
Sorry, I think you said bear, Isaac. You were breaking out a bit for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're cutting off. Maybe it's my my internet.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys hear me?
It's cutting out for me too when Isaac is speaking. But Bear, why don't you just go for it?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I can take it. Well, let me see. Yeah, I mean, I resonated with some of these posts that they were saying that we are currently lacking maybe some time to be on top of everything that needs to get completed. Like there are a lot of different bits and pieces currently happening in preparation for next year, as well as to finalize current initiatives, and also to make like important decisions for example, like the grants program, the team structure, the hiring, the fundraising, and it does feel like we have limited time to approach all of that, especially because we probably have like around 2 weeks uh, more of work before the holidays and before the year ends, and until January we'll be able, I guess, to go back to a active rhythm in a way. So yeah, I guess it's just a matter of kind of like organizing, coordinating, just making sure that we are able to create that time and space to chat about these things and make decisions. What else? Yeah, I also really resonate with this idea of figuring out our comms processes. I think this is if we want all the other initiatives to be more effective and to flourish, I think the comms part is really critical. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that and just open the floor for anyone who would like to say something.
I know I see that there's a question about what to do, what are the next steps with Retro PGF? And it came up actually earlier in a conversation that I had with IV2, who wasn't really sure. And the next step that Retro PGF, that the team is doing, is that they are going to basically tally all of the ballots and then scale the ballots to the 30 million OP that are being handed out. So it's not a it's actually they made the source code available for what's for the calculations that they're using. It's anonymized, so you can't see who's getting what. But I'll drop this here in case anyone is interested in exactly how they're doing it. I'm dropping it in the chat right now. So it's going to take some time to do, and they're going to get back to all of the projects in the January timeframe with the final allocations for everyone. So I don't think there's much that we can do actually, except wait. If that's helpful.
Thanks, Tamara. Very helpful. Thanks for sharing that link.
Yeah, the one thing I would add right now is that I think we're gonna need to make a go no go decision. This was my note here about making decision on the Gitcoin the next round. The longer that we wait to make that decision, the more complex it becomes. And so I think we just over this next week or so need to look at what would actually be involved. Like, do we want to try to hire somebody on a very short time frame? Let's not get into it right now, but I think the point is this is becoming kind of an urgent thing to figure out.
Yeah, I'm going to second Gideon on this one. I think that there's a good discussion to be had around the grants program in terms of, especially when it comes to either using the Allo protocol or if we're going to use the grant stack. And following the Gitcoin grant round, I think there are a lot of critiques that I have of the current grant stack that we use and competing with all these other operating rounds. It would really be nice to have the autonomy to actually operate the Allo protocol, to actually host our own grant rounds on our own time frame, and making sure that we're executing it without these time limitations. So yeah, I'll pass it on.
Cool, thanks. Time is over for this one. Just very quickly, I guess, just in case, if we use Gitcoin, we probably would use the grant stack either way. We probably would not. We would probably just not subscribe to the GG series, but the grant stack is pretty much the platform instead of all the front ends that they use. Yeah, just to have that in mind. Cool. So now let's go with the last question. Ideas to try out. I'm going to put the timer 10 minutes, and that's starting now. Just in case, we are approaching the top of the hour, so if anyone has to drop off, feel free to. And thanks for joining today. And doesn't look like anyone has written anything here for a second. So wait about 10 seconds more and then just jump straight into discussions. Cool. I just stopped the timer because this is the last question. I won't really put a timer on it. We can spend just a few minutes, spare minutes, chatting about this section or just the retro in general. Anyone feels like adding anything or has any comments?
Yeah, I really like the idea of just somebody put the kind of the short videos to summarize concepts in the TEC for the things like the OP migration, the grant rounds and stuff. I think really experimenting with new messaging formats would be really interesting for comms. I know it's something that we're trying to transition right now and get a good grasp on. So I think possibly experimenting with this would be really beneficial and might lead to some different outcomes.
Cool. Tam had to drop off. Um, yeah, I think I'm seeing this one that says probably is a good moment to also rethink our call structure, and also the one that says that talks about the concentrated effort to more realty projects and all that. I think this is for multiple reasons a time of changes and may make sense to just especially because right now, for example, we are in pretty much waiting for Gitcoin and some other stuff to finalize the round and to start the next one, etc. etc. So I think it's it's a nice time to just revisit a lot of stuff. Um, and start fresh the new year. Talking about the Grand Strong, just very quickly, I guess. Um, I filled Arbitrum's KYC today to get their payment. And about Ocean, I have to. They require to be sent an invoice with a specific platform that's called Request Finance. And I created an account, and I'm just waiting to for Rex to give me access to the account because I created that with TC's email. So that's I guess that's a very quick status update. Um, but yeah, again, revisiting a lot of stuff. Anybody wants to add anything else?
Yeah, I have a question for everybody. So, one of the things that we said we were going to do, that I said we were going to do as part of our funding proposal for the coordinating team was that we would do at least a first pass at our marketing assumptions, like our marketing goals. And I am, because I've been gone, I'm getting a late start to that. And talking with Bear, we thought that it would be important to get the SWOT analysis done first as kind of like a foundation for that. But one of the questions that's now coming up is, what would be a good starting place for that? Should we, I can always go off and like do my best to take the outcomes of the SWOT analysis to the next stage, but I'm thinking it would probably be good to do something similar to that SWOT analysis, but focus it down on our marketing and our engagement and comms objectives and assumptions. So I'm just curious what other people are thinking on this front. How do you see it?
I think that's good. Something I was talking with a friend. Something I thought this weekend is just really the how, for example, when I started taking on more project management roles, I reached out to Tam, and Tam has been like a really good mentor for that stuff. So I guess while we're thinking of that, it make sense to just quickly reach out to whoever is doing that in the Giveth Galaxy. I don't know if that's Steve or maybe, or well, as far as I understand, Steve is more like as an advisor slash optimizer, but whoever's sort of the comms lead, we can probably have a chat and get them to just, if we can sit down with them for 30 minutes, I think that's good enough to just at least get some insight into what would be actually valuable, because we've been trying to do a lot of comm stuff for the whole year, and we are slowly getting better, but we are not quite there yet. um yeah, I would probably try to have 30 minutes with them.
Yeah, so, something that I would say is that in my experience, like doing all the fiduciary work, it was really helpful and really insightful to go through another SWOT analysis that I did just like on my own, basically, and then just kind of like sharing it for feedback through the document that I shared. But my point is just that going through that exercise of thinking about these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats on a specific area, I think that could also be really beneficial. Now, if we talk about marketing priorities, even like all the other, like for example, the other topic here is the grants program, right? And how are we going to take it next year? Maybe going through a similar exercise, whether that's a retrospective, whether that's a SWOT for the program, I think that can also be really, really insightful for us. And if we can do it collaboratively, I think that's even better, right? Like what Isaac is suggesting, I think it's a pretty good idea if we can invite people who have certain expertise or or good opinions and perspectives on these matters, I think that'd be ideal.
Sean and Nate, do you have any thoughts?
Nothing to add.
Yeah, not. I think that's a good discussion on comms, and I think there's good points on the board here, a lot of which have been mentioned. So, yeah. Well, I like how we've got these response notes. We've got a few points up here. I think Nate started this. These ones in gray. For example, CAD GPT being featured this Sunday. So I think that's good. I think I kind of like this style of like people are coming up with ideas and then someone else is seeing like, oh, we're actually already on track in some way for that, or just like reinforcing the post. So yeah, I like the idea of alternative forms of communication, like video content, short video. I'm wondering about in terms of hiring, if like, because Isaac has a lot of domain knowledge and process knowledge, and I wonder what the best way to preserve that is. If we could possibly hire someone that he could train, or if like what kind of artifacts we can preserve in terms of like process, and can we make like TEC training videos, something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly. I know Barry, you've worked a lot on roles, and in particular, just kind of the roles that NT has taken over. But how we can funnel that down and kind of make it like kind of a narrow, I mean, even more concrete, to where when we do onboard somebody, we can onboard them for one particular thing, and then gradually integrate them into the other areas of NT's work as well. So for hiring for somebody to take over all of what NT is in covered, that we do this kind of thoughtfully and pragmatically, to where the point where it's just we're not overwhelming somebody and expecting them to get everything right away. That we're just saying, hey, here's one role. Let's get you acclimated to this role, and then we'll keep building on top of that as you show your competency within that realm. So yeah, just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, those are great thoughts, Nate. Thank you. Yeah, this is also kind of like another kind of like those topics that I like us to talk more about, like roles and how we structure the team in a way, and this again relates a lot with the recruitment process that I've been working on, and maybe having this idea of a trial period where people can maybe take a smaller sort of responsibility, and then based on that uh, uh, move to a more complex responsibility. So yeah, there are like a lot of questions. Also, this idea that I've always kind of like been wrestling with of should we have like these really specific and minimal roles that are pretty focused on tasks actually, or should we start kind of like broadening out a bit these roles in order to cover more areas of work and more type of tasks? I've realized that there are some pros and cons to each of these. Sometimes it's really hard, I think, to have one person with like 10 different roles, and all of these roles are like super minimal and specific, and with a lot of tasks, but then it's really hard to describe the actual work that you're doing because you have like 10 different roles doing 10 different things, right? But then at the same time, it's pretty modular, right? Because you can change these roles and transfer them across people, and it's easier for someone for someone to be onboarded to these type of roles. So again, there's like pros and cons. On the other side, if you have like these bigger, broader roles, I think it's easier for the contributor to understand what are all their responsibilities. But at the same time, it becomes harder to onboard someone, to recruit someone, and like what you were saying, to make sure that they are able to take on that responsibility fully. That gets trickier, and it probably requires more resources, like I really like what Sean was saying, maybe having training videos, or I think ideally in the future it would be really nice for all of us to get better at creating playbooks, right? I mean, for the grants round, for the marketing, for all of that we already have some, those have been proven pretty useful. So if we could maybe in an ideal world to have all of these different playbooks for all the different roles that we have, and if at some point we could complement that with some videos, and with some mentorship from the previous person that owned that role, I mean, I think we can start building up pretty easily this onboarding structure in a way, right? But again, it requires time, it requires work, and but slowly, I think we can definitely make it work.
And can I just add one last thing? Because I think the one thing that is really hard to replicate, and something that I noticed that was very difficult in our transition from working groups to our coordination team, is that we can replicate a lot of the tasks that are built, that are required of a particular role. But it's the relationships that, like for example, that NT has made with Gitcoin, with Arbitrum, with all these different individuals within these areas that are kind of invaluable into actually executing that work. Being able to transition those relationships to somebody new is something that I think gets lost a lot during any type of movement or action towards a new structure. Is that is what is lost, is the relationships that have been previously built and are no longer sustained because that person is missing. And so I guess my big point here is that I think that NT, out of everything that you do, I think anybody who new comes into the space, being able to recreate those relationships and making sure that you make those proper introductions would be the most valuable thing that you can provide during the transition. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, super important. 100% agree. And I haven't thought about that before. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I think it's also in general uh, a bit of like not as a strict of a transition. I guess it's not like, of course, my availability and everything. It's different. Um, but it's not like um, I completely disappear and all that. So I like, as long as at least the most basic responsibilities can be taken care of in the short term, then the rest, there's no, I wouldn't think there's any particular rush to do anything. Although of course I would say that it's in the best interest of everyone to pretty much, or for the whole team to sort of find someone anyways, because even if I can do some stuff, um the capacity is already low. So um but again, I wouldn't say we are in a particular rush or anything. I think it's more important that we find someone that's really suitable for all the work, and also revisit the work itself, right? Because at first I was more like a team project manager, like a project manager for the whole team. And with all the grand stuff, every round is heavier, and I've been doing less of the project management. Like I used to really spend time with the projects. Right now, I'm more than anything just facilitating ceremonies, if anything. Um, and all of those are things that we have to think through and see. Maybe maybe it's not required to have someone do like the whole project work. and with the ceremonies that's enough, or maybe it's not. I don't know. Those are all things to think about.
Yeah, it seems like we need some space for a conversation around that, and also around my stepping back and like what we're going to do with comms, what we're going to do with fundraising, what we're going to do with project, the grant program. Be good to set up a space to just have those conversations.
Yeah, maybe we can take some time. Of a planning. So maybe we can take some time tomorrow or next week, or we schedule um, another meeting in between. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, something quick that I've been thinking. Well, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Maybe we could chat about it tomorrow if we have time. But this is when I also go back to this idea of maybe rethinking the structure of our calls to be able to have that time. For example, I'm thinking about the communications call that we have on Mondays. I don't know if you guys are planning on attending today, but for example, I think that'd be a perfect place and time to talk about what you were talking about, Gideon, of our marketing priorities and how can we incorporate the SWOT into defining that, and everything related to comms we could take on that full hour and chat about, and we can even put together a nice agenda to make sure we cover everything and use that hour to talk about that. Then at some point, I think going forward, it would probably also be nice to have a, maybe it's not it to be weekly, maybe it's a bi-weekly call, more focused on people, on roles, on I don't like calling it like HR, but like all this type of stuff that we are chatting about right now, and be able to have those conversations there. And just like that, if we currently are finding that we need some time to talk about things in a specific area, I think we can schedule that time, and maybe even make it again on a recurring basis, even if it's not on a full hour. I don't think the idea would be to go back to this schedule full of calls all the time, but just for us to know that we have that available space and we can use it, even if it's half an hour, even if it's 15 minutes. I mean, it's still time that we could use, and it'd probably be very, very beneficial. um, then also in regards with that, I've also asked you guys, I think it'd be nice to have this other call to talk about the grant program, either this week or next week. um, yeah, I don't know if we would have time to do it either also tomorrow, probably not, or we would have to schedule another one, but I think that also be important.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like we are not in a big rush in terms of hard projects that we've got to focus on getting deliveries on the deliverables on right now. So maybe we do convert some of these calls to doing a little bit of planning and thinking more deeply about goals and stuff.
Oh, I do have to leave now. I don't know if there's anything else before.
Just a quick question. I have a conflicting call at 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna end up being. I can't join the comms call until 1:30 today. But were other people going to be there today?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, I can also join. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be like 30 minutes late, but I'll be there too.
Sounds good.
Well, I think I can make it too.
facilitate it, but- Go ahead, Inti. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that I think that I can make it too.
Yeah, and I can start facilitating it. I have some kind of plans for this week and next week for some of the events this time. So we can cover that in the first 30 minutes and see if what I know you probably have a lot of conversations that you want to add to it, but we can start that when you arrive.
That's perfect. Thanks, Nate. Yeah, my main thing is I would like to just kind of get some contours of the questions that you guys are thinking about, and then maybe just start to shape that into like some type of process with Bear.
I'll also share the Notion agenda document for these calls that I created last week. I think it can be useful, Nate, if you wanna put together what you're thinking, and we have that, and we can add more topics if needed.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Okay, then I'll see you guys a bit later.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. See you.